Hey everybody, what's going on? It is Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite Uwe Rosenberg games of all time. Now, I've only played 11, so not a lot to rank, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about one honorable mention that is just outside my top 10, and then I'm going to talk about my top 10, and that's it. So, without any more belaboring the point, let's get the counting down. All right, so the first game that I want to talk about in my favorite Uwe Rosenberg games of all time is a game called Gates of Loyang. And this is actually going to be my number 11. So this technically isn't in my top 10. This will be an honorable mention. And this is probably higher on other people's lists, and that's fine. But this is a game where it's a farming game where you have to farm and feed people and provide goods to people, to customers. Okay, I couldn't think of the words. But the thing about this game is when you have a customer and you supply them goods, they're going to stick around, and you need to keep providing them goods. And eventually, and you're going to score points for that. If you can't provide them goods, you're going to get hit for some penalties. You're going to get these other kinds of cards that you can play that are going to help you in your journey, maybe hurt some other people, help you out a little bit more. It's everything that I should like, but for some reason, I just don't like it. It feels too open, like I can do whatever I want. The puzzle is just, it's too big. That seems like that's a good thing, but when I want to play an Uwe game, I don't want the puzzle to be this big. I need it to be a little tight. I need it to be a little more constricting, a little more punishing. This one's a little too open. Yes, some of the scoring is weird and punishing, but of the things I can do and the way that it works, I don't know. It's too wide open, and my brain doesn't work for this. So solid game. I owned it for a while, but got rid of it. I will play it if somebody wants to, but as far as Uwe Rosenberg games go, this is the bottom for me of the ones that I've played. Again, I've only played 11, so I'm only going to talk about those 11. But again, that is my number 11, and technically an honorable mention at the Gates of Loyang. All right, so number 10 is actually probably not even going to be on people's list, and that's fine. I enjoy it because it's a trick-taking game, and this is Bargain Hunter. And this is a game I actually got for, I don't know, like $5 or something, which I'm a bargain hunter when it comes to games. And I got it at Ollie's, and this is a really funky game. Just let me show you some cards right here real quick. All right, so the cards are going to be, there's like 4 or 5 different suits, and all the suits have different goods on them. So you can see here, this is the blue suit. There's an iron and a lamp. Okay, there's some other ones in the back. At the beginning of each round, you're going to take one of the cards. You're going to have a hand of cards. You're going to take one of your cards. You're going to sit to the side. That's the item that you're trying to get. You're the bargain hunter, and you want to collect that item. However you can do that, you need to do it, okay? For every one of those items you get, you're going to get a point. For every item that's not that you get, you're going to lose a point. So you're trying to balance out how you're getting points versus losing points. And then whatever you collect the most of in your non-bargain pile becomes your new bargain pile for the next round. I haven't played this for a minute, so I think that's how it works. And you're going to play over so many rounds, you're just trying to have the most points. It's a really simple trick-taking game, but the puzzle of trying to get only the items that you want and not the other ones is really interesting. The rules aren't great. It's kind of hard to learn, which is part of the reason why it's down so low. I think if it was easier to teach and easier to learn, I might play it more. It's actually sitting right back here. I don't know where it is now, but very fun game. Fun trick taker. Doesn't feel like an Uwe game at all, but he used to do a bunch of card games, and he woke up one morning and made Agricola, and it all went crazy from there. But this is a really fun game. If you can find it for cheap and you like funky card games, you're a fan of trick taking, I say check it out because it's worth a shot. So my number 10, Bargain Hunter. All right, so number 9, I know I'm going to take some heat for this one because this is some people's favorite Uwe games. One of their favorites, and I'm okay with that. And this is Feast for Odin. And this is a game, it has very similar DNA to something like Agricola, sorta. But this is a worker placement game, and what you're trying to do is you are placing workers out on this gargantuan worker placement board. I mean, it is obscene. This right here is the worker placement board that you can go to. There's like 60 spaces or something crazy like that. So many spaces. Okay. Each of them takes a different amount of worker. They're going to do similar things, but yet still a little bit different. And then when you're doing that, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be getting tiles that you're going to be putting on your own little personal board that are going to represent like goods and different types of things. I've only played this one time. I didn't love it, but these are like some bonus boards. You're basically trying to get things to cover up all these spaces on your board, because if you can't cover everything up, you're going to lose points, which is or money or whatever. So you're trying to just make this puzzle as best you can, get as many points as you can from these items, put it on your board as best you can to try to earn the most points at the end of the game. There's way more to it than that. I've only played it one time. I didn't love it. I have no desire to go back to it, but there you go. So honestly, it probably should be lower than Bargain Hunter, because I'd actually go back to Bargain Hunter, but this is where the pieces fell and I ranked them. But it's just not a game for me. I should like it. I should enjoy it. I should want to come back to it, but for just some reason, it doesn't sing for me. It doesn't do it. Maybe it's like at the Gates of Laying, it's just too big. It's too open, and there's too many choices, and that's not how my brain likes to function with an Uwe game. So there you go. That is my number 9, A Feast for Odin. My number 8 is a game that I've actually never played in real life. I've only played this on Board Game Arena, and this game is called Nova Luna. Now, I haven't played this for a while, so I'm going to try to explain it. And this is not an all Uwe game. This is a co-design with Corne van Moorsel. But effectively what you're doing in this game is you are placing these tiles, okay? And you're trying to get them in certain patterns so they can score, and you can cover them up with these chips here. So, for example, I'm going to try to do this as best I can by memory. For this tile here, I need this to be around or connected to a red and 2 blues. If I can do that, I can cover up that, and I'm going to score those points at the end, okay? And you're trying to just basically make this grid and get these connections set up where they're going to score you points. You're also going to be drafting tiles from around this circle here, and based on what tile you take is going to determine turn order. I forget that piece, but most of it is going to be around these tiles. This is a really fun game. I enjoy it a lot. It's one that I would actually like to own. I don't know. I just haven't for some reason, but it's a fun little abstract puzzle. Doesn't feel like an Uwe game, probably because he has a co-designer, but it's definitely worth checking out. If you're a fan of like grid placement and like adjacencies, this is a game you should look into because it is a ton of fun. I played it online, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times, and I enjoyed it. So that is my number 8, Nova Luna. My number 7 is actually a dice version of a game that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And this is called Würfel Bonanza, which means dice bonanza, I think. I don't know what Würfel means, but I think it means dice. And effectively what you're doing in this is you are planting beans. That's the theme of, again, I want to talk about later, spoiler, called Bonanza. But you're planting beans. But in this one, what you're doing is you're going to be rolling these dice, and you're trying to get certain combinations of dice planted in your field so you can complete these cards. So these are the dice. There's 2 different colors of dice. I don't know how well they're going to show up on this picture here, but there's like a all white, and then there's like an off white. You can kind of see it. So 3 of the white ones, and I think like 3 of the off whites. And then you're trying to do these cards here, and the cards are going to be certain combinations of dice that you want to roll to get some coins, and you're trying to get the most coins at the end of the game. So if I can roll 3 purples or have them in my field at the end, I can complete this card if I've done all the other steps, and I can harvest it and score some coins. But the interesting thing about this is on other people, when you're rolling dice, other people can use your dice roll, the dice that you haven't locked in, to complete their cards. Only you can use the dice that are locked in. So each round you're going to roll, you have to lock in at least 1 die. It means set it aside, can't roll it anymore. And you can keep going until you're done rolling, or you've rolled all as many times as you can. Every roll, everybody else can use all those dice that you've rolled except the locked one, and you can only use the locked ones at the end. So you're trying to do your puzzle, they're trying to do their puzzle with these dice. Fantastic game. I love it. It's not as good as Bonanza, spoiler, but I like chucking dice, and that's kind of where this one is. So I like it. So there you go. That's my number 7, Würfel Bonanza. My number 6 is actually a game that I just got, and I've played it solo 4 times now. And this game is called Glass Road. And this is effectively a farming game. No surprise. There's some underlying themes in all of these games. And in this game, what you're doing is everyone's going to have the same hand of cards. I think there's 15 different cards. Okay. And you're going to pick so many of them. I think you're picking 5. I played it solo, which is a little different. But I think in the multiplayer game, you're picking 5 cards each round over 4 rounds. And then what you're going to be doing is everybody's going to pick a card simultaneously, put it face down, and they're going to reveal. Okay. Someone's going to reveal. If you have that card in your hand, then you get to play that card as well as a bonus card. You get to play your 3 you always pick and then an extra bonus one. But if no one else plays that card, you get to do both the actions on the card. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to complete this like tableau in front of you with building new buildings. You're trying to manage these resource wheels here. You're trying to build new buildings. You're trying to get rid of the trees on here so you can have a place to build buildings. You're just trying to score as many points as you can. In the solo game, you're trying to get 30, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that feels impossible. It's a really fun game. This wheel thing is cool. Once you get so many resources, it's going to automatically convert them into either glass or brick. There's 2 wheels. One is the top one with the green is glass. The bottom one with the red is brick. And you're going to need those for better buildings. But you may not want to get certain resources because you don't want to convert them immediately. So there's that puzzle here. A really fun game. It's clever. It's quick. It's fun, but it's also deep. And I haven't played it multiplayer. I've only played it solo. And I've had a great time with it solo every time. So I'm imagining it's just as good with actual people too. So that's my number 6, Glass Road. All right, so spoiler. I already gave the spoiler. My number 5 is Bonanza. This is a little card game about planting beans. You're going to have these funky beans in your hand that look like this. And the interesting thing is you're going to have a hand of cards. However you're dealt them, you're going to hold them. You cannot rearrange. You have to play the cards either whatever way you want it, whatever side you pick, you're going to play the cards. You have to play that card that's right there. You can't play something else, okay? So I'm going to try to get these beans planted. And when I plant a bean, only that type of bean can be in that field. I'm going to have 2 fields or 3. There's some ways you can get 3. 2 fields. And then I'm going to try to get different beans so I can harvest them. You can see on this wax bean here, if I harvest 1, it's worth 4. But if I harvest 4, it's worth 1 coin. If I harvest 11, it's worth 4 coins. So you're trying to get as many as you can because you want to get points. That's how you win the game, most points. Then after you have to you have to plant 1 card from your hand into a field. If you can't, then you have to harvest something to plant something, which you may end up harvesting something before you want to. And then you're going to flip 2 cards from the deck and you're going to be trading those. You can offer people the cards from the deck and then they can give you cards that are not from anywhere in their hand to you. So then you have an option to clear out your hand a little bit. You may take some bean that you don't really want because then you can give something away that you need to get out of your hand. So it's this cool little give and take puzzle of card manipulation and trading. It's a really simple game. It's really fun. They can play to like 6 players or something, 7 players, and it's just good. I can't even explain it. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look fun, but it is. So that's all I really had to say about it. So that's my number 5, Bonanza. Number 4 used to be my favorite duvet game for a long time, but it's not now. And it's called Le Havre. And this is a worker placement game where you have like one worker. And you're going to be putting them on these different types of buildings. And the buildings are going to produce different types of goods. Let me see if I can find a picture. Every good's double-sided. There's bajillion goods here. And what you're trying to do is you are trying to basically acquire goods, get money so you can build these different buildings and then convert these goods into better goods. Because every so many rounds, you have to give food to your people or ship it off. So kind of feeding your people, but kind of not. But depending how far along you are in the game, things are going to take more food. So you're trying to get 1 fish and convert it into smoked fish, which is like 5. Get some cow, but then convert it into steak, which is like 7 food or something. I haven't played for a while. And you're just trying to do all that. You're eventually going to sell some goods. Like maybe you can sell some leather. You can sell a whole bunch of things on the shipping line to give you more points. You're trying to end the game with as many points as you can. That's it. Build buildings, get goods, convert goods, make the most money / points that you can. This is a ton of fun. It's a brain burner. It's terrible to set up because there's so many pieces, so many goods, so many chits. But it's super fun. So here's kind of the board. You can see all these, look at all these goods. All these goods here They're all double-sided. They all do different things. It's so good. It's a nice like pile of stuff on the table. It looks fantastic, and it's an even better game. So that's all I have to say about it. You probably have heard of it. It's one of his more popular games, but for me, it's number, what is this? Number 4. So I have 3 I like better. So there you go. My number 3 is a game that I've played multiplayer, I think 4 players one time, and I played solo a pile of times, and it is called Hallertau. And this is a game, it's a worker placement game, no surprise. But the interesting thing about this is the worker placement board is shared by everybody, and everybody has the same kind of workers. We all have these little blue cubes, okay? And we're going to be using this central board here, putting our cubes down to take actions. And you can see here, if this thing will scroll down, that the first player that does the action only has to spin 1 cube. If you want to do it again, it's 2 cubes. If you want to do it a third time, that's 3 cubes, and that action is done until items get cleared off. But the crux of this game is it's a card playing game. And there's going to be these different types of cards, and the cards are going to be, they're going to have certain types of goals, maybe that you're trying to achieve. So I need to have 6, I think it's wheat or barley, and 6 wheat. If I have that just on my board, I don't have to spend it, then I'm going to get this. It's going to give me some bonus cards. There are some that are going to give you points if you meet a criteria. You may have to spend some things. There are some that if you spend this thing, every round you're going to get income. You're trying to manage all that. You're trying to get these resources at the end of the round because you're going to be moving these little buildings, these little manufacturing buildings over to the right, and you're trying to move this big village as far as you can over, because that's going to determine how many workers you get every round. So it's a puzzle of how are you going to get these workers? When do you want to spend them to produce income? When do you want to play these cards? Do you want to play the card? You're going to get sheep. When do you want to slaughter the sheep? Because if you keep sheep around, they're going to give you milk. Whole bunch of farming puzzles, and it's so good. I have a video of this. You can check it out. It's super fantastic. You're planting fields. You're harvesting fields. If a field is left fallow, it'll get better. If you harvest it, it's going to go down because the soil is not as rich. Super fun. It's a fantastic game. So if you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. That's my number 3, Hallertau. My number 2 is a game that I don't know how many people even know or have played or like, but I really love it. And it doesn't feel like an Uwe game. Maybe that's part of the reason why I love it. And it's called Mercator. This is, at its heart, it feels like a pick up and deliver game, but it's really not. What you're doing is you have this little worker, and you're moving it to a location on the board. And you're going to collect cubes, and there's a whole bunch of different color cubes. Every cube can be one of 2 different goods, okay? And you're trying to get these goods. You can see the board here. You're trying to get these goods. You're going to put them on your player board there. And then you're going to have contracts that are going to need goods to go to certain locations to turn them in to get a contract of 1 number better. So say I needed a yellow cube, saltpeter, okay? And I need to go to Bohemia. I go to Bohemia, I have the saltpeter, I turn that in. That contract's a level 2. When I complete that, it's going to give me a level 3 contract, but my level 2 contract's going to stay there, and I can sell it for 2 coins later because money can let you buy cards that give you bonus points and all that kind of thing. And you're trying to either get to complete a level 10 card, which will give you the 14, which is worth 14 points, and that ends the game, or you're trying to have the most points by the time these little time tokens here run out, and then that's the end of the game. It's a super simple game to play. I just taught you how to play it right there. But the way that everything works together, where you're going to go, which cubes are going to get populated from where you go, do you want to follow somebody by giving them time because maybe you have a place that you want to deliver to that you want to waste a turn going there? It's fantastic. It looks awesome on the table with all these boxes and the cubes. Everything about this game is awesome. I have no complaints. It's fantastic solo as well. I just love this game. So not too much else to say here. If you haven't played it, we have a video. Check it out and see if it's for you. So that's my number 2, Mercator. I mean, number 1 should be no surprise. It's Agricola. This is the game that got me into Uwe. It's the game that made me realize how much I like punishing games. It's the game that's lovingly called Misery Farm. This is a worker placement game where you are sending your worker out. You're going to have 2 to 5 workers, depending on how well you can upgrade your family. You're going to send them out to these different locations on the board. They're going to give you different resources, maybe give you animals, let you build fences, build stables, play cards, get new cards. And you're just basically trying to build your player board here as best you can to score the most points. Now, the interesting thing about this game is you need to do everything. If you have empty faces on your board, you lose points. If you don't have a sheep, you lose points. If you don't have a pig, you lose points. You don't have a cow, you lose points. You're trying to do a little bit of everything, but then you can specialize in stuff you really want to specialize in to score the most points. I love everything about this. The card play, you're going to have 14 cards in your hand that you're going to get to work with throughout the game that can drastically change what you're doing. It can make actions more powerful. It can make you way better in different things than other people. It can make your food more powerful because you got to feed your people every so many rounds. Everything about this game is fantastic. Doesn't look like the greatest game in the world, but for my money, it's up there. It's a fantastic game. Now, I know people compare this to Converna, say Converna's better. Haven't played Converna. Don't really want to because for what I'm concerned, Agricola does everything that I want to do in a game and more. So that is my number 1 favorite Uwe Rosenberg game of all time, Agricola. All right, so those are my top 10 favorite Uwe Rosenberg games plus 1. I'm a huge fan. I love everything about Uwe. His games just speak to me. They sing. I love it. And this list should tell you a little bit why. Farming and Beans, the Uwe classic. So, again, if you like that list, I'm going to try to come back and do some more. I'm thinking about Feld, maybe some more things. But right now, it's Uwe's time in the shine. So, there you go, Uwe. So, I'm Jason with the Boardgame Mechanics. And as always, keep gaming.